So thank you very much for being here with us, everyone participating in Earth Action Hub. This is the last session for today on Saturday, the 22nd of May. And it's possibly the most special of all the sessions we're having today, because it's a ceremony with 5 incredible grandmothers from Turtle Island, North America, here with us, just for us, that will be holding ceremonies for us and everyone, all living beings. And we're really in gratitude because they are usually all very busy with their community and looking after more or less the whole planet. So it's a great pleasure that I'm going to start introducing Grandmother Susan to all of you, because she will take it from here. She will facilitate the ceremony, and I will see you afterwards. I'm around. Thank you very much, Grandmother Susan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Paola. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the youth who are here. Wherever you may be, we send our love to you and our gratitude to be able to sit and share with you today. Everyone knows what the grandmother is, because she's an interesting being. We have learned over the years that the grandmother can be a little girl who picks up her baby brother and knows right where to put him in her shoulder to make him stop crying and know that he's loved. That's the grandmother. The grandmother can be a man who stops and bakes some bread and takes it to the neighbor. The grandmother can be a young man who knows what it's like to have some pain and be able to lift it for someone else that he knows. The grandmother is someone who is out there in all of us. And so we honor that. We honor that. We honor your grandmothers. We honor our own grandmothers this day. And to be able to be here with you now is truly a gift for us. And we have our grandmothers. It's very interesting. We have 3 grandmothers who are here. Grandmother Marsha Forrest, Elder Barbara Brant, Grandmother Gail Whitlow, who are all from the same area. They're Iroquois women from up in Canada. We have Abril, who is here from New Mexico. And they have come these distances to sit here so that you can come into their homes with them and share and talk from wherever you are, because it is our greatest wish to be able to do whatever we can to help you in the work that you know that you are called to do. And yesterday, for a moment, I had the opportunity to share that we understand, each of us understands that when you step up onto that path, where you're actually speaking from your soul, the work that you came to earth to do, sometimes there's a cost that goes along with that. You might find that your friends turn away from you, or some family. You know, you might be misunderstood by the people that you want to understand you. And yet, you know that for whatever reason it is, you need to keep on going, because the work that you're called to do is bigger than you. And as you accept and step up to that, you'll begin to realize that you're in a circle. And that as you look around, you'll see that others in the circle understand what's happening with you. And we have an elder, Elder Leon Secretaro, who's passed now, who had an experience where he left this earth realm and he went into the world of the windwalkers. And he said that as far as he could see, all the way to this vast horizon, he saw circles upon circles upon circles. And as he looked at the circle closest to him, he saw his elders, his grandmother, the other elders who have been teaching him in this lifetime, who had moved on. And in doing that, in understanding that part, we see that in each other, because all of us have already lived forever and will continue to live on forevermore. And so it is right here and now in this world that we are here to strengthen each other. So with that said, I'm going to begin with introducing you to our first grandmother to speak, Alice Whitlow. And I'm not the best at saying that name, but I love it and it's beautiful. I call her Abril. And she came into my life in a beautiful ceremonial gathering that took place. And I was able to get to know her. She has a phenomenal story. She has a beautiful background. She spent time in the Pacific where the people there love her. And I'm going to introduce her to you so that she can explain a little bit more about herself. Real?
Haumaraiwaka. Greetings, my relatives. Nanania sa Otawin, Otakiawin, and Abril Mondragon. My name is Otakiawin and Abril Mondragon. From the heart of sky, heart of earth, from my spirit heart thoughts within, I greet you with good feelings, feeling good. And my heart thought prayers of love and gratitude and reverence for creationing's loving, life-giving nature, and this great, great honor that I've been invited here today to share with you. All over the world, humanity has expressions of living and being in good relations. So may we come into this circle with that in our spirits of making good relations with the sacred elements of life, earth, air, fire, and water. I have been invited today to share with you some of my wise life ways about making good relations, about living in good relations and living in relational responsibility, for living in balance and harmony with the element of earth. And I cannot relate to the element of earth without embracing the love of Mother Earth. So I'll be speaking about my relationship with my beloved, our beloved Mother Earth, for we are made of the earth and sky, the waters, liquids, minerals, air, fire, and the spirit of creation. And all living forms are made of these same things. So we are children of earth and sky. So might we take a few minutes to breathe deeply with each other? Bringing our awareness into our physical form, our awareness of the spirit heart song of our hearts beating, our awareness to our Mother Earth and her heart song. May our hearts beat together in relational relativity with our Mother Earth. Our Mother Earth, her heart beats and her pulsing dances and turns and sings her song in relation to the sun, moon, stars, the solar family, with the milk and honey galaxy within the cosmos. And we are made of all that. We are children of earth and sky. So some of the principles and values that are within my family, and my family is from a small band of Numana and Hinisaros that came to live in this ancestral territory of the oldest, only one of the oldest continuing living communities of Taos Pueblo in northern New Mexico. So one of those values is deep listening. To know myself is through deep listening. To know my Mother Earth's nature is deep listening. To know the nature of each other is with deep listening. Another value that we have is respect for our Mother Earth, all life, ourselves, and each other. Earth is a child, she is youth, she is adult, and she is ancient. And she has cycles in her nature. And so we like to live with respect and reverence for each one of those natures of her. Another value that we have is reciprocity and generosity. And with that, I'm going to give you a little story. We only gather what is needed and we share that. And when we gather not just for ourselves, but for our families, for our communities, for their health and well-being, because Earth's nature is thriving abundance. She's life-giving. So when I gather, when I go to the different ecosystems, there's different ecosystems from where I live at 8,000 feet all the way up to 11,000 feet. And there's different ecosystems each way up that mountain. And so those principles that my family observes is observation, the gift of giving, song, heart thought prayers for the health and well-being of that nature and its continued life in thriving life. And so we also asking of a permission, of asking whether that nature will help the human beings, my family, my community, the human family, to be in their wellness, in their balance and harmony. So we ask if that nature will help us. And then we listen. And what are we listening for? We're listening for And everybody knows what the is, because it's that ooh la la, yeah, oh baby, I love you. And yes, I'm your relative and we recognize you. That's that sense of belonging to our Earth Mother and her loving nature. And we also know the that says, oh, not right now, no. Walk in respect. We know that. It's a feeling. It's an awareness that comes from that deep listening. So when I go to gather plant medicines, I first enter their place of that ecosystem at about 8,000 feet, and I sing a prayer and I have my heart thoughts, or I may have a sacred tobacco to give, and I listen. Welcome, my daughter. Welcome. I listen for that welcoming. I listen for the birds. I listen for the wind in the trees. I listen for the creeper crawlers, all the nature that lives within that ecosystem. And when I'm looking for a particular plant or medicine or whatever, I'm looking for at least 7 groups of it, communities of it, and beyond. Preferably that there's 7 generations and beyond for that. And that is because we want it to thrive and have a good life. And I only ask or gather what is needed, and I leave the rest. I also observe if other 2-leggeds have been there and maybe done harm. And I will give prayers and offerings of good relation for that. So that is one of those things. Another value that we have is courage. And our courage comes from our love, because love overcomes fear. And as you know, all of humanity is now being invited to protect and defend our mother, the earth, that gives us life, sustains our life. And so we also know that Mother Earth herself has her own protection. She has her own immune system, just like, and she made human beings, her own children, with their own immune system. So if I'm going to be in relation with my mother of wanting to love and care and protect and defend her, I am going to be like her voice, her loving voice for protecting and defending her nature, because we are made in that way too. Another principle that we have is honesty and humility. So I must be honest with you that I'm a human being. I'm a two-legged walker. And all of Mother Earth's children, whether they're four-legged, the winged ones, the swimmers, the creeper crawlers, the stone nation, the trees, the water cycles the water in each one of its forms, the seen and the unseen, all of Mother Earth's children are neither greater nor lesser than each other. And we have our responsibility to live in relational harmony and balance with them and each other. So we're part of that web of life, and we have a purpose, an intentional purpose for being human beings. And human beings are beautiful in all their many forms, just like all of Mother Earth's other children, created uniquely, each one. So as humans, we're interdependent on all life of Mother Earth's nature. So sometimes I think about the blade of grass, and if the blade of grass would thrive and live with or without human beings. But I know, as I'm humble, because I know as a human being, I need the grass, but the grass may not need me. So I need to live as loving and relationally responsible with it, all life, as possible, in the best way I can each day. And the last thing is the creating beauty in whichever form that is, whether it's the singing, the song, the saying, the heart prayer, whether it's cooking the food, whether it's drinking the beautiful water, whether it's visiting with relatives, caring for our children. We are creating beauty in the world because we're made from the beauty that creation, life-giving nature of beauty. And the other things that happen in the world that are contrary to that are out of balance with that nature. The last thing, and I have two last things. One is one last value, and it's more of an invitation, and then I'll sing a little song. And the last thing is liberation. This is more of an invitation for you to remember, children, sisters, brothers, fathers, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, for us to remember and imagine, to remember and imagine human beings living in relational responsibility with the life-giving nature of Mother Earth, all life, creation, and each other. Remember and imagine when human beings didn't need governments, they didn't need laws, rules, and regulations to manage two-legged humans' behavior. Please remember and imagine human beings living life-giving ways of relational responsibility with Earth, all life, and each other. And that's my invitation as a seed that I give to you, because that's the infinite potentiality of where we are going now during this transition from this prior world to this next one. And with that, I'll sing a short song. and say thank you. And this is the Alis Itlatol song. Alis Itlatol means all life is sacred, life's voice, song, and wise story. Hey anawakamti Itlatol, hey anawakamti Itlatol, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey anawakamti Itlatol, hey anawakamti Itlatol, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ho hey ya, hey ho hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya yo. Thank you so much for honoring me today and inviting me here. And I return the sacred feather and the talking stick back to the center of the circle for the next grandmother. Aho, mitakoyasin.
There we go. Thank you so much for sharing that and that sweet song, that happiness, and thank you, thank you. And the next grandmother then to carry the feather will be grandmother Marsha Forrest, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. I will just tell you that in the time that I've known her, I have come to love her thoroughly for all that she is, all that she does. She works so many places in the world. She'll explain that to you. But no matter where she goes, no matter what she does, she's always herself and true to that. And I thank you. So with that, Marsha, I pass to you.
And greetings, everybody. Asego, which is hello in our language. And I'm going to have a very short introduction about myself. I was born and raised on the Six Nations Indian Reservation in Ontario. I am of the Mohawk tribe, and my clan is the Bear Clan. And so that was my initial roots, but I've lived in other places and I meet teachers wherever I go, which has been a real blessing to me in my life. And I guess that's the one thing I would encourage is when you get the opportunity to be with elders, no matter who they are, where they're from, to just take that opportunity, because these blessed elders, even for myself, I've said I've had a lot of teachers, but all of a sudden you turn around one day and you're the one standing there with the gray hair. And so there you go. The staff is passed, and so you just carry on and do your work, because that's what you've been spending time with them for, is to learn and listen. So I want to say to the youth, you are my inspiration for our future. And in order for you to continue to be that warrior for the earth, you need to really consider how it is you're going to be taking care of yourself so that you continue to be well and strong to be able to do this work. And so that's what I want to share with you about, is how you can continue to nourish your body, your mind, and your spirit, no matter where you are, no matter what you're called to do, no matter who you're with. And really, the spirituality for First Nations really tends to come from including our relationship with not only the four elements, but also with others that we share this planet with, and actually all of the other spiritual relatives who are on this planet that we share it with, all the trees and plants and animals and birds and everything. You just look around, it's all there. And so it's all about connecting to that place of how we do that, using our head, using our heart, and using our hands to be of service. And so that's what I want to talk a little bit more about, is that the four elements, they're all in us. We carry them within us. They're also outside of us. And I just love that reflection of about when we were created, even our time of gestation was all about being immersed in those 4 elements. That fire was the spark of creation when you were conceived. A lot of energy. Boom, there you were, that little egg and sperm. And so that was your connection to that fire element right off the bat. And then the earth, you were carried by your mother. Her feet were connecting to the earth the whole time you were being carried in her womb. And the water, you actually were in those waters for the 9 months within that womb. And then when you were born, that first gasp of air that you took. So right there in that cycle is your initial connection to those elements. And so I think it's important to understand that that's within us. It's also outside of us, and we still have all those elements in us. And we need to figure out ways to deepen our understanding and relationship with those elements and express our gratitude to them when we notice them, because they all carry their own medicine. And the one I'm going to talk about is air. And for me, it's the one that is most immediately essential for life. And yet we don't even think about it. I mean, thank goodness we don't have to think about it, because we would only last a couple of minutes if we were without it. So I want us to, again, really connect with that breath of life that we have, because again, that breath is what we first gasp when we come into this world. And then at the end of life, it's the last of the 4 elements to shut down as that last breath is taken and exhaled. And so the air surrounds us. So as we breathe in and out, the air is there, we don't see it. If the air is still or the wind is blowing wildly, we still don't see it, but we can see the effects of it, and it's still there. So one of the things to cultivate is a daily practice of just being aware with your breath. You can even do that when you're first waking up in the morning. It doesn't take extra time. You can just, again, like express that first breath that you take in the day. You give gratitude for that breath. So I'm going to ask you to put your left hand over your heart and your right hand just over your belly, just below your belly button. And just then breathe nice and deep in. Pause at the end, and then deep breathe out. And as you fully bring in that air, you should feel your belly rise, your lungs fill. And as you fully exhale, feel that belly come down, and also your lungs then empty. So the more you can consciously breathe deeply, you fully nourish all the cells of your body, because you're getting that oxygenated blood to flow everywhere. This is where my career as a nurse comes through. I'm always excited about easy things that are going to keep us healthy. And so what we exhale, the trees use and transform that. And then, yeah, that comes back to us again as oxygen. So you can start to see that circle of life again and how all things connect in that way. This is a great practice to give thanks for that breath, to calm yourself and center yourself anytime. And I know, especially with the youth, you probably are filling your every minute of every day. And sometimes you end up in stressful situations. Trust me, this is a calming action, because it helps you to feel that greater connection to Mother Earth. It helps you feel that greater connection to the sky world. It helps you just to pause for even a moment to become that centered, strong staff of light that you are in this middle world. Because from that, things can flow to you from above and things can flow to you from below. So it helps to carry you. And I want you to consider that as you exhale, you know, that this is really something that's also comes our words from this. And so just to give pause again to the words that come from your mouth, you know, are they going to be kind and nurturing words? Or are they words that are going to be sharp and possibly hurtful? Because the words can be a weapon, really. And once they're out of your mouth, you can't take them back. So again, using that breath to steady and center yourself before you speak something, even if you feel, you know, anxiety or even anger coming up in yourself, will go a long way. So be mindful of your own breath and words. And sometimes those words, I think Abril mentioned too, that it may come out as song. It may come out even as music if you play an instrument, drums or flutes or whatever it might be, that vibration is what you're sending out. So be and show that love to each other. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was just mention that those thoughts and the thoughts that we're thinking in our head, we know how busy our mind can get. Those thoughts will often come out as our words. And so the words will then become our actions, whatever we're using our hands for. And those actions really are paving the way for our destiny. And so, again, to be mindful of those things, because what we want to do is nurture our connection to everything and to others, so that those relationships are stronger. So before I close, I just want to share with you a moment that we can all just place your hands and get yourself centered again, being that strong anchor, feeling that love and light essence build within you. And we're going to send out this breath of love. There may not be anything or anyone particular you want to send it to, but if there is, or it might be some place you want to send it to, let's just really build that within us, building up that essence of that light and love. And with our intention, let's kind of speak that into our hands so that we're aligned with it. We're in this space that's sacred right now. Many of us smudged beforehand and sent that out to all of you too. And so as you anchor that intention within your hands, I want you to blow it out and let it go to wherever it is you want to send it. So it's sending out that love and light for whatever it is that you're holding in your heart. So you can start with these small actions, and they do have an impact, and they can be an inspiration to others too, which is a beautiful thing. And so I say, find your people, the people who are going to be there and to help support you along the way, because that's also energizing and inspirational. And whatever actions you do take with your beautiful hands, to do them from a place of love, and always pause and take that breath, you know, before you take action, because again, that's going to keep you coming from that centered place. So keep up your very precious and good work. I am in awe and inspired by all of you, and really take care of yourself. And so I have great gratitude and love for all of you. And so, Yahweh.
Yahweh, thank you. Thank you. How wonderful my life is to be surrounded by these beautiful grandmothers. And now you are all in that circle with us, and these are your grandmothers as well. And so thank you, Marsha, for that. And thank you for that leaving that you're all doing here in the circle of these beautiful things. Next, our grandmother will be Grandmother Gail Whitlow. And Gail and I also have traveled many miles together. She is a wonderful mother, a wonderful grandmother. She's a wonderful daughter, a beautiful sister. She's a healer. She's so many things. And with that, I will pass you the feather, Grandmother Gail, and we will all sit back and be nurtured by you. Thank you. You need to unmute yourself.
Oh, yes, I guess that's important that I unmute myself first. Sego se wa fuego. Ka dine ni yongyats. My name is Gail Whitlow. My uh, other name means to take a lasso and to throw it over a forest and to draw it in. And so, you know, our words are really powerful. And even the names that the English names or the names that you have been given are, you know, extremely important names because there was a thought and there was, you know, a whole bunch of effort that went into what are we going to name our precious child? You know, so I'm the mother of 5 and grandmother of 15. And my newest grandbaby is just 2 days old and is so precious, you know, so precious to me. So that's fire, you know, that's to see this new life come into the world. It creates such something that is so beautiful. So saying that, I want to start with a story. The story is important because it kind of relates to the element fire that I'm going to share some words with you about. So a few years ago, I was invited to a gathering in Sedona, Arizona, and it was a elders gathering that many nations from all around the world attended. I mean, all around the world. And it was a very, there was a lot of chaos that was going on during this time because there was a lot of movement that had to happen. So one of the nights, we were sitting, I kind of watched this chaos that was happening, and I watched how they were, I guess, tending to the fire. There was no respect for the fire. There was no even knowledge. It was just like throw a log in, and you know that's it. Fire goes down and almost goes out, and I'm wanting to get up and I'm wanting to like, you know, work with this fire. And so there was, like I said, a lot of chaos. So later that night, I had the opportunity to sit with one of the young men who were taking care of the fire. And as we began to speak, I asked if he wouldn't mind if I shared, you know, some teachings about the fire with him. And he was, oh, he was so grateful. He was so grateful. So I started talking about what the fire actually is, you know, how it's a being and it's a central being. I mean, if you look back in time, all of our whole existence existed around fire. You know, fire wasn't so important for all of the, you know, the meetings that were held, and it was for cooking our food. It was just a very important part of every aspect of our life. So I talked about, you know, the flame and how, you know, how powerful this flame can be. And so then I talked about, you know, setting up of the fire, you know, because instead of just throwing wood into there and throwing a match in there, how you had to respect the being of that fire. And so it was important to, you know, you take your time and, you know, to set it so beautifully so that when you lit that match, then bam, you know, this beauty just all happens. And also to make sure that you have a good mind when you're working with fire, you know, because it's such a powerful teacher. I also, you know, kind of talked about the importance of offerings to the fire, how you make those offerings and how you put your tobacco in. And as you're doing so, it's actually carrying prayers for the people. So every time you're putting that tobacco into the fire, you're actually in prayer. Because, you know, I remember people would be saying, add you know, tobacco to the fire, and they would just go like that. There was no thought as to, you know, what you were doing with that tobacco. So I told them to take that tobacco and to pray with that tobacco. And if they noticed that things were not in balance, that, you know, that's what they should do, is they should, you know, take some tobacco and they should pray really hard with it, and they should offer it to the fire. I also showed them, talked to them about creating that that protection around the fire, you know. So, you know, putting that protection around, and how we use cedar or, pine, and how we lay it all one way. And, the shiny side, whether you can't remember and you put it up or all down, at least it's all facing the same direction. And it's creating that beautiful circle, because that's that circle that you're trying to weave. And as I was talking about, all of the different teachings that there are to this beautiful fire, he was kind of like in tears, and he says, "I'm so sorry. I did not know." I said, "No." I says, "No, it's not your fault. You didn't know." I said, "So just take some of these things, and we'll see how tomorrow goes. It's your opportunity now to, take these teachings and to apply them to what you're doing." The next day was so beautiful. The fire looked so beautiful. It was tended to with love, and all of the elders were watching, because they knew what day one looked like, and they saw what happened day two. And, they were getting the nods, and they were getting those smiles on their faces, because they had taken the time then to spend. And this firekeeper even laid right beside the fire that night, and talk to the fire. I was telling them, you got to talk to the fire. I mean, why waste the teacher's time? You're there, take that opportunity and talk to the fire. So that's what he did, afterwards, asking for guidance, asking for directions. And so I took that experience, and the essence of that, ceremony, or that conference, that gathering, really changed. It changed everything. And then that day, things started to flow, and things started to move in a better way. So when we look at that, we have to think about that in our life. What is our main fire? We all know that we're made up of all elements: air, fire, water, and earth. Yet we don't realize that our fire has that chance to burn so brightly. Right now, our emotions are being affected by, this world pandemic, and our fire is starting to rage. And because our fire is kind of like those emotions that are out of control, we have no control right now. We can't go do the things we love. We can't go and be with the people that we want to be with. We can't travel where we want to travel. Then there's so many restrictions that our fire is starting to get out of balance. And so that's what happens with a lot of the different emotions, and the different fears that start to come up, because mental health is a big issue right now. People are just starting to, I would say, go crazy isn't the right word, but you can just see that there's a struggle with our emotions right now. So we have to remember that. What do we have to do to look after our own fire within? So our own fire is just like this beautiful candle right here. It has an outside, it has a protection at the bottom, and it has a beautiful fire, a beautiful glow. But it also needs that spark in order for it to grow brighter. So sometimes the candle represents the fire, and when it's out, it simply means that it needs another light, And so when our quest comes for, controlling our fire, we have to think about, okay, how do we do that within? And so we have to look at those elements again. So water is one of those beautiful things that help to balance fire. When our fire gets too strong, one of the best things we can do is use that water in order to calm that fire. So taking some nice hot baths. Right now, here in North America, we're going into the beautiful season of the summer, and here at Six Nations, it is hotter than it has been, on record, I believe. We're up into the 30s right now. And for us up here in Canada, that's kind of like unusual for this time of year. And so, so the heat that from Father Sun is also, that fire. And so we have to look at that too and say, wow. So grandfather or father son is sending some very strong messages to us. So what does that mean? It means we have to calm the fire, calm our emotions, and it will probably be related to the weather and how the weather manifests around us as well. So kind of like all the heat of all of these emotions are creating this fire that not only affects us, but it's affecting the earth change and the climate change and all of that as well. So in my practice, like personally, I do many things, but one of the things I do is I have the role as a teacher and a healer and a helper, and I've lived my life following that ceremony path, and I carry my pipe, and I've made that decision, to carry that pipe, and so that means that I had to learn how to control my fire within, because when you look back at those younger years, the younger years is all about learning what fire is, and so there's no such thing as a mistake. It's just like what creates that fire, what creates that chaos, and how do I balance that fire, and how do I balance that chaos? So when we start to look at that, that balance there, one of the things that helped me was the water, and I love the ocean. There's something about me in the ocean. It's a very powerful part of my being, and so whenever I have emotions like just heated emotions, it's the fire that calms me. And so for you young people who are in that age of I guess figuring things out, I can recommend or suggest that you hold that water and that fire and that air and that earth and look at them all separately and say, how do I balance all of this out? Because everyone is related to some type of emotion. So the fire is very powerful for healing. One thing that you can do is you can use the fire and you can use it as a smudge, so you can clean off your energy. If your fire is getting too hot, clean off that energy, use it as a smudge. Use it as a smudge. You can use it as a smudge to cleanse your being. And a fire you can find anywhere. And so at night, if you're being bothered by emotions and you don't have a candle, or it's like it's in the middle of the night, you don't want to wake anyone, imagine that fire. Imagine that fire and just use it in a way that is proactive. We don't want to put that fire out. We just simply want to balance that fire. So if it's too high, then we need to, we simply need to balance it. We don't want our fire to go out. We want that fire to be, always lit within. But, unfortunately, sometimes that fire does go out for many of our young people. And so that's where your friends come into play. You have to choose those friends that are going to help you with your fire. They're going to help you with your emotions. They're going to be the ones that help you to get to that place that is best. Because I know this might be kind of like, you might not know how to understand this, but we are the world. Because we are the world, we affect the world in every way. So the more that we can find those that balance us, the more we're doing our part to help balance that world as well. So the world is us. We are not separate from the world. We also are the world. So that's the main reason why we want to be in balance. And then, we have some friends who may have, taken another path that, that doesn't create that, that balance. Well, we can also just put our hand and we can touch their shoulder, and just for that moment they can feel that balance. And then at some point in their life, then maybe they want to find out what that balance is. So the struggle is real, but if we have those in supporting us on our path, that is all important. So, as elders, as grandmothers, we've gone and we've walked that path. We've made those same choices that all of the young people are making now. But we have learned how to find that balance, and it hasn't been easy. That's why we get to speak the words we speak, because we have the experience behind us to say, this is what I did to heal my power, to find my power. I chose that ceremonial path. I chose that, we call it the red path, that path of ceremony and peace. And what our fire represents also is that sense of peace. Peace is that very important, I don't even know what to call peace other than a feeling and an emotion that we really have to become totally in a space where we can see it. We want to feel it, but sometimes we can't see it. So I guess I just want to end our conversation by saying, you as the youth, this is why we're here. It's important for us to build on the 7 generations that are coming. And that's our role. Our role is to look forward to 7 generations and to make sure that they will have a life. And when that becomes out of focus, that's where we tune in and say, okay, so my grandchildren, 7 generations down the road, what are we leaving for them? And just keep that in mind, and we get to enjoy the beauty that comes from, that peace that we find once we start to overcome our obstacles and find that balance. So Nyawago from 6 Nations territory up here in Ontario, Canada. And I don't even know if I said I was Mohawk and Bear Clan and all of that stuff, but I am. So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Those were beautiful, strong words. Thank you. With many, many lessons in between.
Yes.
Okay, so now our final grandmother for this. And I do want to say that while Gail was speaking, I just got word that we had 11 baby possums who are born and now here in the other room. We got a phone call to come and rescue the mother. She had been hit by a car. So you never know who you're going to end up with. And that's the work we do with the earth and the fire and the water and the air. So with that, I will pass this now to our grandmother elder, Barbara Brant. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I would like to just acknowledge the Host Foundation for bringing us together. And I would also like to acknowledge Susan, of course, for being that connector. And I will be talking about water. So that's a very important role and in leadership. I just wanted to acknowledge the other grandmothers for your time and your essence and for being here. And oftentimes our schedules are go, but for the youth today, you made it here. And I think that's really important, very important. Our youth need the grandmothers now more than ever. And they said that a child would lead the way, and that child has, but that child is tired too. So now the grandmothers are doing the flip, and the grandmothers are now leading the way to allow the child to rest. My name is Barb, and for 25 years, the students in my community called me Miss Brant. So I heard Miss Brant for 25 years in education. And I loved every minute of my work with youth from preschool, JK, kindergarten, grade 8. And then I met them all again too at high school level. And then I met them again at post-secondary school. And then of course, I've been meeting them lately and they're bringing their children and their grandchildren to me. So it's really kind of spiffy, you know, to see the progression of life. So as I turn my thoughts and my words to water, and it's very simple. You can put water in a dish, a bowl, a holder, a shell, any way you want to carry it. And you can make that water medicine. You can do that every morning by putting the water in the sun window. And once it's had a chance to take in that morning sun, it becomes medicine. And then you can drink it. You can smudge with it. You can be grateful for it, because there's two powerful words, and it's the I am. And what we put behind that: I am water. I am fire. I am air. I am earth. So never doubt your own I am story and what you want to express for who you are. I'm quite amazed, as the other grandmothers are, with the number of youth that have stepped to that front line on environmental issues. And it really blessed my heart to see the crowds of youth coming out and to take their stand for their future. The grandmothers you see before you, along with our hosts from the United Kingdom, we were the trailblazers. We were the ones that went before. And the grandmothers always said, how do we trailblaze for the youth that are here and coming, when they're coming with all the gifts it took us a lifetime to learn? How do we do that? How do we embrace those crystals riding the water, riding the life wave, riding the life wave forward? How do we embrace them, those ones? And I know you have some grandmothers here from Six Nations, the Haudenosaunee people. We have quite a few Mohawks here, and it's a good thing, because we carry big responsibilities. And the one this afternoon for me is to say something about water. As the grandmothers have taught me, water is sacred. It's in each of us. As one of the grandmothers mentioned earlier, we pass through water to come into this world for our earth walk. We require water on a daily basis. And if we don't have it, we soon begin to weaken our energy. So for me, water's always been kind of important, because I am a Scorpio too. So Scorpios, we like water. And there's a lot happening around water coming forward in the next week or so. And it's really important for the young people to be aware of the time that's coming. We have a lunar eclipse happening on the 26th of the full moon. And we have the moon, who is going to be termed as a blood moon. So it's going to be quite large. And as it eclipses in the morning And as it moves through its day and into the evening and the night, if the water is set out early morning, and you can leave it out all day if you wish, and then bring it in by midnight of the full moon, you will have made an extremely powerful medicine water. And we use the water as a base with all our other medicines that we can put into the water. And we can use, as Gail talked, the fire to strengthen it. So as we have the water and the white cedar together, and we boil it down for about 20 minutes or so, then we're making purification medicine. We're making purification water. And some of the grandmas will add sea salt. And if we don't have sea salt, we make dew. We can just use salt. We always make dew. The old chiefs would always say, if you don't have it, make dew. And I remember one of the grandmothers from Aotearoa teaching me that, you know, that she was going to help this young woman. And the young woman come to the door, and the grandmother said, I run a bath. That's the first thing I did, whether it be a cedar bath or a salt bath, but the grandma started the tub. And then as the young girl started to talk and talk, grandmother was throwing stuff in the tub. And then she said, and you know something? She had so much to say and there was so much going on. I even threw the bananas in the bathtub. So the grandmas are very resourceful when it comes to the need or the requirement of anyone that comes before us. It's been a pleasure to be with youth pretty much half my life, every day. And in my community, I had a troupe of dancers, and when they were passed to me, they were about 25. By the time I left them, there were a group of 50. So the youth were really, really beginning to understand the background and the value of who they are as Indigenous peoples, as Mohawk children. The Mohawks, we are a sovereign people, just like our water. We are sovereign, free to be who we are. And as I spent those years in education with youth, all grades, I really liked myself, and I was called to work with a lot of, they said, high-risk youth, and that was my job. Well, we had this one high-risk youth, and every time this guy would get into trouble, they'd call, Barb, can you go and get so-and-so? Barb, can you go and get so-and-so? So-and-so and I got to be friends over the years. I saw him in kindergarten, and then I saw him in grade 8, and then I saw him graduate. And he was kind of a real go-getter. He wasn't one to sit in his seat for too long. But if you had things around the space that he could go to, he was fine. He was good. Well, that little go-getter, that guy, later came back after learning and becoming fluent in the Mohawk language. He came back to the community. I thank Akwesasne for that, because Akwesasne took him under their arm to help him do what he liked to do. And so Dorothy Lazar was her name. She came from Akwesasne to Tyndonega to teach medicine, the language. So I was at the school in my community long enough to know and to see the transition. And it's very similar to water because water transitions. It goes in so many different directions, in so many different ways, in so many different energies. It can be a drop, it can be a stream, it can be a lake, it can be a rainfall, it can be an ocean. It can fall fast, it can trickle down and move slow. So the years went by, and then all of a sudden, at our school at Tyndonega, this guy comes through the door. Hi, I'm Mr. Joe Brant. I am now the principal of Quinte Mohawk School. So you can see, if you're struggling, you can still see what you can become. So water is kind of like that. You start with a little bit of water, and then over time it becomes medicine, or it becomes life. We have water carriers, which is the women's responsibility, but that is not to exclude the men, because the men ask that sacred permission to be with the women at water ceremony, or to be with the women to carry water, or to even help the women carry water. It's that asking of permission. It will be granted or it will not be granted, depending on which ceremony you're doing. So the water has become very sacred all over the world. And it's increasingly becoming more and more sacred. So we have to use care. You know, just like Joey and I used care with that kid because I saw something nobody else saw except Dorothy Lazar up the. And so it did my heart proud. And the water flowed the day I saw him come back to school and become the principal of Quinte Mohawk School. So you never know what your job will be in the future. As a child, as a middle-aged young adult, and as an early adult. And then as you become an adult, I really don't know all of that because I'm still working at it too. I make my mistakes. I try not to make them again. And sometimes when I was doing the training with the grandmothers, I made them a few times before I learned. But I made a point to be around people that cared about me. I made a point to be around water. Every summer, when the last bus would leave the drive at the school, I'd jump in my car. And it was the beginning of wearing my bathing suit and my shorts and head to the water. And I really believe that I really think was instrumental in becoming whatever this is. Medicine is what this is. So I thank the water for helping me to see in myself more than I saw at any given passageway. So it's always an honor to represent water. I am the water. It's always an honor to say a few words, and the graciousness of the other women who asked the grandmothers to be here today. So I never ever had any children of my own. as grandmother Gail and the other grandmas down through the birth canal and out. So I remember saying to grandmother Sarah Smith, I said to her, how can I be a grandmother? I've never had any children. And she said, oh, Barbie, I'll teach you. Right? So she filled the balloon with water, and it was big. And then she popped it, and all the water come out. And she said, that's what happens, Barbie. It pops, and the water comes out, and then the baby. I said, wow, Grandma, thanks, because you gave me an experience that I never had before. And little did I know my life would transcend, and I would have all these kids, all these students in my life. So I really enjoyed being what all that was, because really, in fact, it was every day with youth. It was every day with young people, every day. And they say the teachers look after the students. And I say, no, the students look after the teachers. Oddly enough, is how it works. They know what you like. They know what you don't like. They know what colors are your favorite colors. They know what you like to drink. The students are always such a joy to be around, because really so much is learned from them. It is reciprocal. Like the grandmother's talking about the tobacco. And it cannot just be. There must be prayer time. There must be thought held onto that and then passed. And water is like that too. When we hold the water, we're putting our vibration into it, because it is crystal. And so are you, the youth who are participating this afternoon. So you hold it, you put your thoughts into it, and then you pass it to the next person in line. Or you put it to the Earth Mother, as our grandmother spoke, that important earth. And I saw Marsha's moon and her water in her background. And so it's really helping me to remember the different stages and the different steps. This is going to be the greatest wealth and gold into the future. You cannot buy life. You can't go to the Walmart and purchase life. But we can go to the Creator, and we can pray and be grateful for life and for water and all the elements that were brought to your attention this afternoon. So the grandmas are together this afternoon, and I look to the day when we can all be together in the physical. We have important work. We have to continue trailblazing. But you know, the Creator was good to us, because the Creator gave us so many youth that are so indigo and so already in harmony and balance and very, very knowledgeable. So for the grandmas, including the one that didn't biologically have a grandchild, I've had many children in my life. And for me, I really don't think that if I had a family, I don't think I would have been able to do all the work that was done with children through all the years. So it was kind of a trade, you could say. So as we honor the water coming in this moon, the grandmothers above and the grandmothers below, in harmony with life. And we're also the seed moon. We're in between that too. And the next one coming is the strawberry moon. So we continue to be mindful of the cycles. We continue to be mindful of each other. We continue to be mindful of the love that you will feel with every grandmother you sit with over time. And then someday you'll be sitting here talking to all the other students, all the other youth, all the other young adults, all our other families. And you'll be the one saying, well, that one grandmother talked about the I am. That other grandmother talked about the breath and air of life. That other grandma talked about the foundation of the earth. And the other grandmother, the spark of fire, the spark of life. So we bring this time together to a little bit of a close for the time being until we meet again. It's always an honor for us to stand before our children and our grandchildren and those that are listening from above, not yet here. We are star people. We come from the stars, the Pleiades, through water to be here. So again, I want to thank the homelands where this is being hosted, the United Kingdom. The Mohawks were allies to the Crown. So us Mohawks, we get around, don't we?
Yes,
So
very
it's
much.
always an honor to be able to address the homelands where this is being hosted. So all our energies are across the pond. Again, that sacred water.
Thank you,
So when
Barb.
we pass the torch, it's going to be up to all you youth to carry the blessings of the waters. And now I get to turn to Susan, and Susan will wrap us all up. And I just want to say, Hayat Nawi Sangwaya Disa Wahinoro, Goa Gangaro.
Thank you. Thank you, Grandmother Barbara. Thank you to all of our wonderful grandmothers. Thank you to our youth. It's been just beautiful to have everyone and your thoughts and your words. I want to remind you all of the 11 little baby possums who've been born while we've been talking. I have a story of being given up at birth, and I want to share one last thing with you. When I would dream of my mother, and I would put my hand on my belly button, and I would think that no matter what, even if I don't see her in this life, she was connected and I was connected to her for those many months. And so I was thinking, as I was hearing you all about those little possums who don't have their actual mother, but they're still connected to her for time and all eternity. And so even if as you youth go out and you invest your lives in the protection of our mother, we are still all connected, and the circle will never close because you're all part of that now. I have so many grandmothers, and so do each one of you, and we're blessed to be able to sit with them today. As you stand there and you remember these things, put your hand on your navel, on your belly button too, and think about that connection that you have to our Mother Earth. Earth, my body. Water, my blood. Air, my breath. And fire, my spirit. We are all of those. We are in communion with each other and with our mother. Aloha ke akua kuleana. We are never without each other. We are always together. Aho. Back to you, Paola.
Grandmother, you know I'm in love with all of you. And I'm so grateful for your incredible wisdom and your heart sharing today. And I want to say the Earth Action Hub was created by a group of incredible young people because the youth is also in service to the next 7 generations, as it's in service to our elders and grandmothers. And it's an incredible generation of young people that now they know, they are aware the importance of working for the next 7 generations and the more to come for all beings, including the unseen. And we also pray that the current youth that at the moment on the planet is going through some very challenging time in different way, wherever they are, in certain territories, they're really going through some also wartime. We pray for all of them because I feel that you grandmothers with your love, you're holding everyone in your heart and you're praying for all of them every day. So the youth knows they can be the new Mother Earth warriors with their love and hearts. Aho. Thank you very, very, very much. And I hope that this will be the first of many meetings to come, many circles like that to come, where we'll also invite more grandmothers, more elders, but also more youth to be together in circle. And with this, I thank very much also Earth Action Hub for hosting this amazing time. I thank the incredible volunteers who have been working behind the scene non-stop to make it all happen, to go smoothly. And I want to thank also to all, big thank you to all the participants because they've been with us, because they have been creating Earth Action Hub together with us. We were never alone, we know that. And all our incredible partners, hosts, Fee, co-hosts, Force Weavers, and everyone truly that have been making it. Thank you, grandmothers. I hope to see you soon and be able to hug you tightly in the physical. I'm sure it will happen sooner than we think. You're all in my heart. Thank you. Aho.